from a colleague in the hospital. तो तुमने क्या कर दिया? इनको नौकरी दिला दिया, पैसा दिला दिया, एम्पावरमेंट दे दिया, सब कुछ करेंगे. Her status in the house remained the same. आज के दिन ओला टैक्सी लगा दिया आपने. Every modern applications are there. She calls it over the phone, she takes it, and 12 o'clock in the night they say it's very safe. She is raped. Right? तो क्या चीज़ ऐसे हैं इस दुनिया में? Whatever you do, political power is not enough, economic power is not enough, economic empowerment is not enough, employment is not enough, education is not enough. You still do not have what you call that justice and that equality. If you go by official indicators, we are all very equal, sometimes even better. But if you go by a moral indicator, I don't know what else to use by way of an adjective, a moral indicator, you are not equal at all. So we suffer from what all the men suffer, plus in addition, we also suffer from very many other factors. This is the other factor which women's studies is asking you all the time to ask yourself. Any subject you do, any seminar you do, any thesis you do, any topic you write on, the ultimate question which we are in nothing, has the woman really become empowered? Is empowerment the same as development? Is empowerment the same as having a decision-making power, which she talked about? I talk about it in the university. Women vice-chancellors, how many are there? There's no higher position than a vice-chancellor in the university. Women prime minister, how many do we have? Women ministers, how many do we have? These are things we keep counting. As a political scientist, I do that, I have all the data. But what? What after that? What after that? Does she become powerful? You always say behind a woman there are men. There is a man or there are two men, whatever it is. You used to say behind a man there is a woman because a maidservant who helps him to overcome all. That's what they meant by that. Behind a man there is always a woman. She takes care of all his needs so that he can move forward. Does this apply in the same way? Behind a woman there is a man. A man is able to take care of all her needs so that she can move forward. No. The man takes away all her power and she is only the one who brings the power to the home. Family still rules women. Patriarchy still rules the family. Family is a political institution. Family is a power-based institution. Family is the most insecure institution for a woman. I can't say that normally. I never used to say it before, but I'm saying it. But the issue is, we do have ups and downs, even at this stage. But what I'm saying is, family is still, I'll accept, I'll say, I'll believe in it, I'll say it very powerfully. At times my husband will accept it, at times he'll try to defend himself. At others cases, he is extremely enlightened and just. देखो उसका क्या हालत है, उसका आदमी को मार लगाओ, वो ऐसा तंग कर रहा है, ऐसे कर रहा है. मैं कहूँगी मेरे को भी तो तुम कर रहे हो. You'll begin thinking about it. So the issue is, patriarchy seems to come very naturally to men. And unless somehow we are able to get rid of this patriarchy from our personal, from our social, from our political, we cannot really have what you call the empowerment of women. So my plea with all of you is, whenever we undertake a paper, whenever we undertake a question, whether we talk about health or employment or anything else we talk about, the question we have to ask, has it really empowered? Will it be able to empower women? Has it attacked the patriarchy? Has it diluted the patriarchy in the family or in the office or in the institutions? So that's why it applies to all subjects. And I was telling Sanima right now, management affair is one of the worst elements where the patriarchy is really strong. And that's why that's why when we organize things, we attack the vice-chancellor first. All vice chancellors tell us, madam ये क्या है, आप मुझे invite करते हो, इनॉग्रेट करने के लिए बुलाते हो, हम आके बैठते हैं आपके वर्कशॉप में, सबसे पहले मेरे को मारते हो। मैंने कहा आप लोगों को इसीलिए बुलाया गया, थोड़ा अपना बात भी सुना दे आपको. So they get this. It's not attacking, sir. It's a question of sensitizing you. Because if you get sensitized, your university system can get sensitized. You can bring about the changes. Unfortunately for us, a majority of the decision-making top posts are still with men. Unfortunately for us, when they become prime ministers of the country, they become Margaret Thatcher. They don't become an enlightened, good woman top, because they have inherited this, internalized these patriarchal values. They think that's the only way of managing an affair, by using that strong measures. So that's where it has to go far beyond. It has to go to women, it has to go to men, and it has to be thought by all of us as to whether we are reaching empowerment strategy. In the absence of it, empowerment has become a word like socialism. Long back I read a socialist writer thinker who wrote, socialism has become a hat which takes the shape of the person's head who wears it. Empowerment has become, development was like this, empowerment has become a word which takes the shape of those who use it in any way. Sometimes it doesn't even take a shape, it's just used as it is. So let's have some of these questions in our head. When we prepare papers, I'm not talking about the present papers you are doing in this particular workshop, don't immediately begin thinking, oh, I haven't done it. We will do it. But whenever you do anything, just ask this question. Are women the final agent of her own self? Can she make the decisions for herself? What are the challenges she has both internally and externally in the society? It could be anybody who can give it. Religion can do it, ritualism can do it, just ordinary good family can do it, because it's taken all over the world for granted that patriarchy will rules the roost. So whether and to what extent where you have been able to fight against patriarchy. It's not fight against men, it's fight against patriarchy. So let's do that, and when we use the word empowerment, let's go a little deeper to think about it rather than use it like a mantra. If we don't know what else to say, we say empowerment. No, let's think about a little more to ourselves, to introspect. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Shahida, for giving me an opportunity to keep rethinking my own whatever I did. As you live too long, you end up disparaging your own self and your own books, and that's what happens. That's what many of us do. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. Listening you was a learning experience for all of us. Of course, India needs certain sensitizations where we should be able to prevail with minimum sense of gender justice. Yes, Indian institutional space is a space of ironies and paradox, where we promises more and deliver less. Here is the man who promises less and deliver the most. I now invite the chairperson of today's inaugural session, Dr. Muhammad Aslam Parvez Saab, to address the gathering. Thank you. Please join.
Thank you very much. My dear, most respected Sushila ji, I would prefer to call you that way, being my senior also.
The G can be taken off.
No, I won't. Okay. Dr. Pani, Professor Shahida, the guests who have come all the way from different places, as I was told, my colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. I am not a man from social science. I am a botanist by profession, by teaching. I am a student of botany. And I would say a sensitive human being. So I will speak and share my experiences and my observations as a student of science and as a social being, that what we have done, what we can do, rather what we must do. Just while coming for this program, we were together, and Sushili said one thing which is very interesting. She said, you know, when we are professors, we are allotted big bungalows. And at that stage, our family has already shrunk. When we are young and beginning our career, we have a real family and at times huge family. We are allotted small houses to accommodate. So she said that here the distribution is not as per the need. When you don't need it, you get it. And when you really need it, you don't get it. She mentioned that, of course, in Soviet Union, that was the system. Now, as a student of science, I told her that, look, the distribution of resources as per the need you find only in nature, not in our artificial systems. And from the nature, as a student of science, what I have learned, and that was the basis of treating my women, not only mother, but other women, including my wife. And my daughter, which I had till a couple of years back, I have lost her. I start with these small plant families, which we call it the liverworts or the bryophytes. These are thalloid, thallus-like structures. Now the thalloid body of the thallus is thicker from the center and gradually thins out toward the periphery. Now the center, which is thickest, is safest, has maximum food. There the female sex organs are produced. The female parts go to the periphery, because nature knows where the more food or the resource is needed, because that is going to be the nurturers, the bearers and the developers of the future generation. Now this intelligence is simple thalloid plant body, which is so fragile and delicate that it will not survive without water. If conditions are dry, they disappear. If water is there, they are there. And this trend continues even in the higher plants. What we relish, cherish and enjoy, the nutrition, the fruits, are the bearers of the female parts. Why in nature a fruit is produced? Because they are not under any MNC to produce products for the consumers of tertiary order. We are not talking about the primary consumption. These fruits, they have accumulated food. Why? Because that food was surplus for that particular plant. And no plant part was willing to consume extra beyond its basic needs, and ensure that it is stored somewhere. And where it should be stored? Where our next progeny is about to be developed. Those are seeds which we find inside the fruits. They are the messengers of the next progeny. They also carry some food, and when they germinate, they produce the new progeny. So these are the lessons which we get from the nature. Of course, none of our system is as per nature. We have devised our own systems. In this system, what I feel, what I have been listening to Sushila ji, a political scientist, and she has devoted her life to women studies. I feel, unfortunately, is a part, I will not say, and why should I say it? I am not a part of patriarchy. I am a male. but I'm a happy male. Because my female is happy, that's why I'm happy. And for obvious reasons. Yes, must clap it. And it is disheartening that this seminar, the majority is the female partners. Should be male more, they need to be taught. They need to be taught. And I would say that if these departments, they are there for different reasons, but they must recruit and focus on more males. If it is not taken over by the patriarchy, that will be another problem. What I feel that over this period, maybe if we take it to 100 years or 50 years after independence or 70 years exactly or whatever it is, there has been an improvement in our education levels, in the income levels, irrespective of the groups. I remember when I was a young assistant professor, at that time it was called a lecturer, the salary was meager. But once perhaps it was the 5th pay commission in 70s, things improved. So I have also enjoyed it. I have felt the money stress at that time, but gradually I am comfortable and now I have sufficient surplus money to use it elsewhere, getting from my salary. So our incomes have increased, and this is not for this particular group, every group in fact. So education level has improved, living conditions to some extent, resources yes, but there is one thing which has declined. And what we are harvesting and reaping today is the result of that particular decline, which is spread to several centuries, not decades. And that is decline and the fall in the values. You see, I understand and share with you the concern, and I don't approve it also, that we had certain social and religious systems where women had limited access to certain things, and that way they were not empowered. But the same patriarchy and the male were taught to respect women. They were not brutalized, they were not violated. They were deprived, I agree, and I don't approve it. But they were not violated with such brutality. I feel that we must ensure to bring back this value system, which was there in every religion on this land, be it Hinduism, be it Sikhism, be it Islam, be it Christianity, anything. Those values have disappeared, and I am sorry to say that what I notice, there is no concerted effort to revive those value systems through proper religious or spiritual institutions. After 60, 70, when we think that we may die now, we try to become spiritual or religious. Otherwise, things are missing. They are not there. We have an example in Dr. Pani. As I understand, he comes from a family where, as he said, his father was a scholar of Sanskrit and a teacher, if I am not wrong, Dr. Pani. He quoted some verses and some shlokas. And he comes from a family where he says, and he said it, they respect the women. Now these are the things which need to be inculcated. As a Muslim, I feel that Islam gives a concept, the very word which Quran uses for the female, the wife, is Zawj. Now Zawj is an Arabic word which means pair. Can you expect any inequality in the pair members? The front wheels of your car. When you change both. अगर एक भी घिसा है तो आप दोनों चेंज करेंगे. Alignment will change. So the pair is exactly identical. That is the concept the Quran or the Islam teaches us for the women. Though it is a fact that Muslims, as much they are moved away or far away from the Quran, the same is true for their practices. They are equally as bad as any other person with male chauvinism, even wrongly interpreting Quranic verses, distorting it as per their own desires and whims and policies. But we have systems. We have those texts. We can revive those practices. We can nurture those intellectuals. When we say nurture, where do we nurture? Nurturing right from nature to our society is done by the mothers. So we need really good, strong, practicing mothers who can teach their daughters not to become a commodity. Because the commodification of women, which is prevalent, and if I am not wrong, I have not seen any concerted movement from women bodies or from any enlightened bodies, including male, against this commodification. I have seen Chipko movement. Women did it. And it succeeded. तो ये मत कहिए औरत नहीं कर सकती. Once it decides she can do it, we can do it. Chipko movement, I am a student of environment, botany, that's why perhaps I know this example. Totally managed by women. Literally, from our classification, illiterate women, in reality, much enlightened, intellectual, and I would say literate women who started Chipko movement. So, we need to fight the root causes of, because once you commodify women, it becomes an object, it becomes an article to be used, misused, disused, and thrown away. Because it is a disposable culture in which we are living. We dispose of things which we don't need, and we are taught that way because a huge industry must run. So that way I see it, another fight with capitalist system. Giving a space to women has a linkage with that also. They need these things, these topics need elaboration. I know time is constrained. We have started late. But I will strongly say that a mother who can teach a daughter not to become a commodity, and a son to respect women, and put it into practice, which we are not doing. Why I am saying it? This is a paradox. It is the same woman. She has one son, one daughter. When she marries off her daughter or looks for a family to marry her off, she is always looking for a family where her daughter rules literally, has not many members to share the income of the husband, कि बहन भाई ना हो, देवर ना हो, नंदन ना हो, so that the maximum part of the earnings from the husband must come to my daughter, my sweet daughter, मेरी बच्ची. But when she brings a daughter for her own son, she needs a daughter-in-law who will cook for not only her but the entire family, would be a washerwoman not for the husband but all the brothers and sisters, etc., of the husband. She should not say, very obedient, a master chef, continental, Mughlai, oriental, snacks, everything. Otherwise, तुम्हारे माँ बाप ने तुम्हें सिखाया क्या था? Then she must be habitual of leading a happy life, so those essential things she should bring with her. और उस टाइम नहीं आया तो बाद में भेजते रहें कि नया मॉडल फ्रेश का आ गया तो वो बेटी के लिए माँ बाप को भेजना चाहिए. दे शुड केयर फॉर देयर डॉटर. इट इज़ द सेम वुमेन. एंड हर एटीट्यूड with daughter-in-law and the daughter, why the difference is there? This justice must prevail. Justice breeds justice. Injustice breeds injustice. This is my personal feeling as a sensitive human being. And as far as my record goes, my inning has just started here. But I have had a good inning at Zachrosant College from where I come, Sushila ji. And there from the day one I had declared that this is a no tolerance college campus for any insult to any lady. Respect women. And throughout this period, we didn't have a single case of any ragging or any harassment. I declared it that I love my daughters. Take care of them. टेढ़ी नज़र भी नहीं डालनी है. I will hang you. And I literally did some very strict actions couple of times. Everybody got the lesson and we had a perfect sailing. And there was a real atmosphere of respect. So I thank you very much for coming and giving me this opportunity to share my personal feelings with you experts. But I believe, and please excuse me for saying it, that if you really mean it, then bring it out of academics